This is a brother and sister who are older, but have so many years living on the streets. Do you need a hand with the truck?
Okay, here's the way I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna swing it around.
Right. Sometime in his life, he had a house, and he had his belongings, and he had his things, and she did too. He had a wife, and she had a husband, and they have children. And I know for a fact Yolanda's a grandmother. As long as I knew them, they were just sitting in these cars. If they weren't busy recycling, they were just in these cars. They park on the streets. There's always parking restrictions. So every week, they have to move so that they don't get a ticket.
It's just gonna go around.
And no matter how many times they do it, it just shocks me that they do this as often as they do. I can start? Okay. I didn't think I would still be doing this. And I need to figure out with them now, where is the crossroads? Like, where do we change direction? Can we get him to get rid of the cars that aren't working? I don't know that he could sell any of them because I don't know that they have any value, but could we get him to get rid of them so that maybe he just had a truck or one vehicle?
Okay, forward.
Because I'm very frustrated, but I can't let the frustration show to them because I'm on their team. I'm an advocate for them.
All right.
I remember when I started doing this many years ago, that if you asked a person who lived in the city or who lived in the suburb, where do you see people who are homeless? They would tell me, I see them on the edge of the freeway. That now, the same people who tell you they only saw them near freeways are telling you they're a block away from my house.
So in the last 2 years, this problem has gotten a lot worse. There are families who are doubled up with friends and relatives. They live in their cars for a period of time.
There are so many people sleeping in tents and shanties and cars. I mean, the number of people who are living in those makeshift arrangements just in the last 3 or 4 years has tripled and quadrupled.
You don't know how many times in the span of my day, people have come up to me and say, can I have your card? And I'll say, are you homeless? And they say, not yet, but in about 3 months I will.
One night, at the end of 2010, I was coming from a party. I was really happy. I was with my friends. I had a lot of food and drink, and then coming home, I made a wrong turn. I was in shock. How could this city that has so much wealth, have an area that's hidden that has so many homeless people? I felt like I had to do something.
Hey guys, thank you everybody for coming out. Really appreciate it. My name is Mel. Welcome to Monday Night Mission. The first step was serving the people on Skid Row food. For a person who doesn't have a fridge, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich stays fresh.
For most people, it's becoming really hard to afford a basic apartment. The people who do entry-level jobs, they can't work 40 hours and afford an apartment in LA.
The average rent in Los Angeles is north of $1,500 for a one-bedroom. Minimum wage in California is about $10 an hour. So do the math. Is it any wonder that people are on the streets?
Let's go, guys.
Guys, stay on the sidewalk. The hardest part is making sure our volunteers are safe. Come into the middle of this line. Come on. Hey guys, all my guys, coming up close, please.
Whenever you're ready.
Hey guys, I here to Amber.
Hi,
Important part is acknowledging that person. Make eye contact.
Say hello to Michael.
At the end of the day, anybody who comes through our line, who feels accepted, recognized,
Say hi to Chris.
I think that's changing that person. This is one of the worst cities for homelessness in the US. One thing we always notice is our volunteers burn out, which is when they see people suffering day after day, it affects you, you know? There are some people who are better at managing it than others, but when you've been there for a while, it changes you. It's hard. You get to know so many of these people, you build relationships, they become friends. You go home and you wonder what happens to them. Are they gonna be okay? Am I gonna see him again? This is the LA that people don't see.
And in the beginning, it was like Skid Row everywhere. It was mostly single men who did jobs that you could do because you had muscles and you could move things around.
Typically young men left their homes looking for work. They came to Los Angeles and they needed places to stay. So hotels emerged.
They would make enough money to get at least a room or maybe just a flop house cot where there are more than one guy to a room.
In the 1950s, many of these hotels morphed into affordable housing. People who were receiving welfare or couldn't work or worked part-time.
In most cities, Skid Rows were bulldozed. That was about to happen in Los Angeles, and a resistance sprang up to it.
The city, the Community Redevelopment Agency, started this policy of containment.
From the point of view of people on Skid Row, it would be the one-stop shop, essentially. You wouldn't have to go across town to get your services.
Let's create homeless shelters there. Let's provide food. Let's move people to Skid Row.
And so they drew lines on a map and said, everything goes in here and nothing goes outside of that. And then 1983, the population of Skid Row just exploded with the election of President Reagan and the beginning of cutting back on the social safety net. Los Angeles had lost 75,000 manufacturing jobs, union jobs. You could get out of high school and work in the rubber factory, or you could work in the auto plant in Van Nuys. Those jobs just disappeared. The jobs that we replaced those manufacturing jobs with tended to be very poorly paid, low-skill jobs. That was the beginning of Skid Row as we know it today.
Ninety 90% of the homeless people in Los Angeles who are not living on Skid Row. It's a tip of an iceberg.
Every single person out there has a story. And some stories are amazing.
These are great for the streets. These are great. Who donated these? Wow. These are like perfect.
I experienced homelessness myself a few years ago. I should say about 6 years ago now. I went through a tough time in my life. And after I got myself back on my feet, I started the organization. I felt like I had to do something. Volunteers, we get over 300 a month. Every weekend we're doing something.
She'll take this one.
And then on Fridays after my work, I get off at 11:30. And then we do the street outreach. You go out and I give out food, clothes, shoes, jackets, blankets, hygiene items.
Are your feet swollen? How about like a size 15 shoe?
You're in a different mentality when you're homeless, when you're going through stuff.
How are you? Doing okay?
I mean, the majority of the women that I encounter on the streets have experienced some type of abuse, rape. I've been raped, molested. You know, I go back. It's not an excuse of what everything I did after that, but you know, I can talk about that now. I almost lost my children to the county because of my drug addiction, and when I see a young teen in the street, it's like, wow, I gotta talk to them. I know something happened to them, that's why they're out here. We all need help. I needed help, I just didn't know how to get the help.
You guys need some blankets?
You know, you kind of have to feel what they're feeling or what they're going through in order for you to respect them. Put yourself in somebody's shoes. Respect them.
Thank you so very much.
With the community park events, we have a lot of volunteers there. People want to take family, want to take their kids just to serve. I never thought it would grow so much.
About 80% of them are people who are experiencing homelessness. Some families come from shelters. Some families come from their home that are not homeless but are facing poverty. It's a lot of families that need help. It's become part of my life to do this.
Many people are literally living paycheck to paycheck. For the majority of people who experience homelessness, it's actually not the image we often think of in terms of someone who's panhandling, someone who's living in a tent. In the bigger picture, there are many, many more people falling into homelessness because they're just poor. They can't afford the rent. And they live in a cycle of insecurity and they scrape by. It's scary, I think, to a lot of average folks to know that a run of bad luck and the inability of relying on friends or family, you can be homeless in this country. And millions of people are.
Clearly, the experience of homelessness is much more visible today. We got started officially in 2003. We concentrate on a population of folks that many people aren't willing to even pay attention to.
When I think about the work we do here at Housing Works, what we do is we identify individuals who are the most vulnerable living on the streets. We build a rapport with them, and we get them off the streets and into housing.
So once we house them, we become their advocates. We become a part of their life. We do everything possible to negotiate with landlords, to work with them to ensure that they have steady income, to make sure that their health is connected to a medical home. So we're basically there to advocate for their lives in every aspect. He's not staying in a shelter, dude.
I thought you wanted both of them in the shelter.
He's staying in the shelter.
Okay, fine.
The core to what we do is always embedded in the saying, whatever it takes, as long as it takes.
Whatever it takes for as long as it takes. So for instance, when we have someone who is acutely mentally ill, who maybe needs someone to help monitor their medication intake every day.
Hi. How are you?
If the tenant cannot be relied upon to do this on their own, it doesn't mean that they don't deserve or cannot live independently. It means that they need an added layer of support. And we step right in and we do what we need to do to ensure that that person gets their needs met so that they don't cycle into psychosis, end up back in the hospital, and end up sometimes back on the streets.
Our staff go in and clean it up. It's what we do. It's whatever it takes means. You got to put gloves on. Put the gloves on.
You can't just take somebody who's schizophrenic, smoking meth, and say, okay, here's some keys, and now you have an apartment, and all better, right? Like, no, that doesn't happen.
Remi, the dog. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love dogs.
So at Housing Works, I am an on-site caseworker at a supportive housing building called Terrace. So I work with approximately 27 tenants of this one particular building. Housing is really just the beginning.
Took a little while, right?
There's a lot of work to be done after that. Sometimes for a long time. You know, it depends on the person. Some people are gonna need support, I don't know, indefinitely. So Shirley, here's the money order.
Okay.
214.
Yes, sir.
And so we'll wanna write
214. Thank you, Lord. Gee.
a lot of the people we're working with haven't been in an apartment for, 5, 10, 20 years. So when you come into getting an apartment for the first time, there's a big learning curve as far as like, how do I do this? Oh, okay, I have to pay rent.
What I'll usually do is provide a receipt for you. Okay. All right. Thank you, Miss Shirley, and congratulations.
And thank you very much.
So a lot of it can be basic life skills, and just helping folks get in the groove of independent living. So I'll take them to the doctor, or the Social Security office, or the grocery store, or the bank, you know, some basic things as far as transporting people off-site.
Cough some.
Get you some what?
Some cough. I'm coughing every night.
Oh, really?
Cough bad.
You've been using your inhalers?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's bad.
Doesn't sound too good. We should talk to Linda about it and see what she says. I try to build a relationship with people that doesn't have much of a, you know, caseworker client dynamic. Almost as if we're friends, but I'm the friend that gives them the advice that they don't want to hear. She wants to get connected with a good dentist.
I'm not sure if Medicare covers dental. I'm not sure of that, but
Yeah,
she
they
probably
cover
has Medi. Looking good.
What keeps me driving is seeing people transform. You know, seeing them open the door for the first time. Seeing them start to settle into a place.
Okay, Miss Shirley, so I'm gonna go over some of the basic features.
Yeah, I did take part in that.
All right.
If you had a homeless forum just five years ago, you would just have a chorus of people just saying, screaming and just saying, get these people out, you're not doing your job. Now, when you have a community meeting regarding homelessness, you have so many people who are sympathetic, who are saying, just explain it to me. What can we do?
It has gotten as bad as it has gotten because of our inattention. It's clear to voters, and they want something done.
Item 6 first, or how do you want to proceed?
Yes, Mr. President, Council should first vote on item 6 as amended by motion 6A through 6L.
The overall cost, as I mentioned, is about $2 billion.
It's extremely comprehensive, and it needs to be, because we have such a variety of homelessness in Los Angeles. But if solving homelessness is a marathon, all we've done today is fill out the registration form.
The biggest problem with this plan is there's no talk of how they're going to fund this plan.
Okay, so with that said, Madam Clerk, we vote on item 6 and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
The items where it relates to the Homeless and Poverty Committee have been approved.
The county, the city's master plan to end homelessness, huh?
Without funding, it's a piece of paper. That's all it is.
It used to be possible, even without a college education in California, to have that dream of the California ideal of single-family homes with backyards and broad boulevards. Everybody's got their own space. That's gone in California for the most part. I was born in California in 1953. At the time, California had a population, the entire state, of 10 million people. Today, Los Angeles County has 10 million people. So the population of California has just exploded. But the number of new housing units has not. Zoning ordinances restrict denser housing that preserve the California ideal of a 3-bedroom house. So we have a state now that's really 2 states. It's those who have that, what used to be that dream, they own their own home. They may be millionaires because of the equity that they've built thanks to the housing shortage. And then you have all these other people scratching at the door, trying to get in, trying to get ahead, and only falling further and further and further behind because wages have not kept up with housing costs. And the rent goes up every year.
Sociologists have been calling this urban revival, where there's an influx of primarily younger folks, but also empty nesters who prefer to live in cities, whereas 2 generations ago, the strong preference in the United States was suburban. The difference between suburbanization and this urban revival is when folks were moving out to the suburbs, they were building on farmland. This was wide open space that had not been developed. The reversal of that population trend into cities is displacing folks who are already here. So they are being outbid by younger professionals and others who are moving into the cities, which is why rents are going up so fast.
Okay, I'm almost there. I just got to get a star.
You got the news about tomorrow? Huh? Have you got the news about tomorrow? No. So, do you remember my coworker Roger? Maybe. Heavyset guy with the beard. He was with us one day. Yeah. Days ago. He's coming by tomorrow morning at 9 to take you to sign your lease.
Oh, okay.
So the apartment has been approved.
Oh, okay.
Unbelievable, huh? Yeah. Roger, if you have a minute, can we talk a little bit about Ruben and Yolanda?
Yeah.
And she won't do anything without him. She won't sign anything without him. She won't talk to anyone without him. And the truth is, like, I think he's very capable. He's very good at taking care of stuff. I mean, the man's smart. He's very articulate. She's been diagnosed as schizophrenic and bipolar. But the thing, too, that I learned is that a lot of it is induced by trauma. She was married. She had a husband, and she had 3 kids. And she and her mother-in-law, her husband's mother, were really close when she was in her 20s. And they were walking up Alvirez Street one day, and a car went off the curb and killed her mother-in-law right in front of her.
Trauma.
And she, from that point on,
And he had her too.
lost it.
Yeah.
Completely lost it. The family wasn't able to take care of her, so one day, about 11 years ago, the sisters, because it's 3 sisters and 1 brother, came and dropped her off to Ruben and said, she's your responsibility to take care of her.
Good morning, Angie. It's me, Roger. And we are we are the front gate. Yolanda. Oh, okay. Yeah. Give me 2 minutes. Yes, no worries. I'll be here. We'll be here. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye. Today is the 1st.
So this one is for the unit. The other one is for the gate. This is for your mailbox. Okay.
In case you ever cannot reach her for any reason, call me and say, Roger, you know, whatever the case is. Look at that bedroom. That's a nice bedroom. Nice size.
You know, the lady, I think the lady who used to
The furniture will arrive like in 2 weeks, maybe sooner. We're gonna try it, see what happens. A couch here, and then a bed for her,
and this one,
and then a microwave and the refrigerator. That's all. No, we get more stuff. We're gonna get curtains for the shower. Your kid works up and down? Double check. You email them once you're done? Yeah, you can move today. Today, the apartment is yours.
It's yours. You have the keys now.
De nada.
Come back.
Simon. It's a good beginning, I can say. You know, so it's crucial that first 3 months that we follow up very close with them, you know, to make sure they get medical treatment, follow up, whatever they need, because it's not only the roof, but it's what's next after that. You know, it's a new chapter in their life.
So prior to the 70s and 80s, there was a different set of laws on the books. And it was really easy to institutionalize people for being mentally ill.
They were locked up.
And then a sort of alliance developed between civil libertarians who rightfully thought that the conditions in which they were confined were outrageous, which they were. They were joined by fiscal conservatives who thought we were spending a lot of money.
We cannot lock everybody up just because we think they're not well. They need to come back into the community, in a community mental health setting, and get reintegrated into the family and get services in the community.
And so across the country, deinstitutionalization was the result.
The state institutions closed and they got released from these state institutions. And what they did was they went straight to Skid Row.
The plan for deinstitutionalization was those institutions would be closed and they would be replaced by resources that were smaller and located in the communities. So the first thing happened.
There was no community mental health support. There was no so the state saved a lot of money and the federal government saved a lot of money, but that savings did not go to local governments to help them.
It's very difficult for many who are housed to deal with a mental disorder, but when you're on the street, it's basically just impossible. It's much less expensive to spend public resources housing the most vulnerable people than it is to cycle them through not only the emergency rooms, but the jails, the courts, the streets. In other words, you don't have to be a liberal and want to do any handouts or anything like that. It's just stupid.
I was homeless for 21 years of my life, and I was housed twice in those 21 years. The interesting thing is that I was unable to remain housed because no one was meeting the need. And I didn't even understand the need. I just knew the shame, the humiliation of being homeless and an adult, and too ashamed to tell anybody that I didn't know how to live. Imagine that. I don't care how many houses you build. If you are not providing the supportive services and meeting people right where they are, nothing at all is going to happen.
Who here is aware that we have elections in March? Everyone? H basically represents a sales tax measure to fund homeless services and prevention, and it will be on the ballot on March 7th. A yes vote is a vote in favor of authorizing a 0.25% county sales tax for 10 years in order to fund homeless services and prevention. HHH last November was for there to be funding to create 10,000 units of affordable housing, right? H facilitates countywide agencies like ours, departments from the city and the county, to actually provide the services. You see, you can build 10,000 units of housing, but you're going to need an army of people who are skilled and trained to follow those people into the housing and to stay with them and to create community for them. Homeless services and prevention.
Yeah. So this is part of a larger strategy that Housing Works have been involved with, which is trying to raise the money we need to address homelessness. H, because it's a special tax, would require 2/3. We have a big challenge in making sure that we turn out folks who support homelessness to push this over the 2/3 margin.
We are very excited about Measure H, and we hope that, I know it's going to the voters one last time and asking for a little bit more of our dollars invested, but we have to do it. H is an opportunity to create funding for the county for supportive services, specifically for people experiencing homelessness, such as an outreach team that has a doctor and a social worker and a substance abuse counselor, what we call a multidisciplinary team. If the measure doesn't pass, that's a question. That's a sincere question of Yes, we'll still have housing, and yes, people will be placed into it, but it does raise the question of what's retention going to look like. If you do not have intensive case management, once someone's inside of their home, they will fall out of housing. But that's why Measure H just has to pass. That's it. There's no excuse. It just has to pass.
All right, guys, do we have flags? Every Friday, we get the kids from the community and they volunteer. Sometimes we have a handful of kids and sometimes we have a bunch of kids. To me, it's very important, the youth. Because it's very important for them to see what really is going on. To start teaching them young now to be more involved with the community and be more respectful and care about people who are struggling. Oh, he's gonna be happy? Happy. Because these kids nowadays, everything they see in social media, it's funny to see an old lady getting socked in the face. Ooh. And then the video stops and then life continues. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be some feelings watching that video, What if it was your mom? What if it was your grandmother, They're used to walking by someone who's thrown in the sidewalk and not even acknowledged. I tell them, pay attention. And I'm constantly trying to recruit more teens and getting involved with other youth programs because I think it starts from when they're young. Take your shoes off, guys. How you guys doing? All right. It's been a really long day today. I am emotionally overwhelmed and tired. You visit the encampments and it's hard because you go and you see them, you're happy to see them. Hey, how you doing? And they're still in the same position. You feel heartbroken. Don't be fighting, you hear me? People have told me, when you do this work, you have to come home and don't bring it home with you. I bring it home with me. My family is supportive because they can't stop me. But it does become sometimes like my kids miss me, my husband's like, when are you gonna spend some time with me? It does affect the family a lot. I'm not gonna lie, it does. What happened to you? Nothing. But they have to understand me, this is what I love to do. It's gonna affect me more if I don't do it. I'm messing around. We come from a family that's been struggling. I was raised without a father. My mom, single mom. I did my first line of coke when I was 11 years old. And things escalated after that. I got heavily involved with crystal meth. And the roommate that I used to live with was also involved, and paying my rent to her went into her drug use as well. So we got evicted. And then I started bouncing around, couch surfing. And sometimes I didn't have anywhere to sleep, so I would get high more so I won't sleep. And partying and drinking, and it was like a whole year of struggle that I went through. I was living in like somebody's backyard or in a room somewhere, and I wanted to get high. Because the high is good. That's why we have drug addicts, because the high is good. I like to be real when it comes to that because it's the freaking truth. But where it takes you, no good. I think the strength that I get is my own personal struggles that I've experienced. I mean, I've been through it. I think I'm still going through some struggles, and I think helping others helps me personally as well.
We're gonna go pick up a person right now that we're taking a detox who quite frequently gets transported to the hospital by emergency medical services. And not only that, but sometimes police gets involved because he's publicly intoxicated. When I take a calculator and I start to add up how much that costs, this person is incredibly expensive. And at the end of the day, you're saving money. You're not paying through the nose for a person who could be served by folks like us. LA is so huge that sometimes people will choose isolation and will choose to go into an area where nobody will talk to them and they don't want to deal with anybody. And that's what I think this gentleman is doing right now. Un lugar donde hacen detox. Detox para ayudar a bajar un poquito la bebida. Es una clínica. That van is where he sleeps. And that van doesn't belong to him. That van belongs to a friend who's letting him stay there. Sí, sí. He's very intoxicated right now. Pasa. We're gonna take him to the sobering center in downtown LA.
So come on in. They're doing the intake. And they'll take the vitals and make sure he's cool. So you know if he decides to leave in the middle of the night.
We understand that. I understand that. I completely grasp it. Okay. I can come by and pick him up later today if he was ready. I can even come by and pick him up in the morning.
What time do we expect you in the morning?
I could be here at 7,
You're a friend.
7:30. They kept reminding me, Rudy, he can leave. And they're right. Te vengo a buscar a las 7:30 de la mañana. Okay? Gracias. I have the hope in my heart that tomorrow morning when I get there, he'll be there and he'll be ready to come with me and we'll go to a shelter. The hard part of this job for me will be if I show up tomorrow and they tell me he left. I will feel frustration. He will go back to what he knows best, which is I need to get a drink. But we're going to be in the same place with the same tools available to me so I can try again and again and again. And that's how this job is this job is like Groundhog Day. Like, I will do the same thing sometimes 17, 18 times until on the 21st time it happens and it works. Tell me he's still here. Oh! Thank you. You know what? Would you give me a quick minute? I'm gonna finish doing some setup right here, but I can't say thank you enough. I'll be right back. I'm gonna be right back. He's here. Yeah. Oh, hello. It went well. It went well. Oh, no. However, I can tell he's really struggling right now. He's having a very hard time because he really wants to drink. He wants to go back to his car and he's trying to find excuses. He has 2 teenage daughters. You know that Sunday was Father's Day? So the girls look for him. On Father's Day, the girls basically go out with their mother and they just go through the neighborhood looking for him. And you know where he is? Hiding. And he says he's hiding in terror because he doesn't want them to see him. For him, it would be the biggest joy to be able to invite his daughters to his apartment, to have a conversation with them, to cook. And that would be like the biggest happiness for him. We walk into every interaction with the person that we're assisting, knowing full well that we're gonna have a positive outcome or that the whole thing is gonna crumble in our hands. I thought he was going to respond differently to the sobering center. He's still very sick. He requires a higher level of medical care. I'm trying to figure out how to do that because I don't think it's that much of an emergency. To be quite honest with you, it's about drink. And if it's about drink, I'm gonna take him to the liquor store right now and try to get him a bottle of alcohol. I know that's crazy, but Geneva, he's in the shakes. He hasn't slept for 48 hours. And even the therapist, the alcohol, the MSW alcohol therapist here is saying he may need a drink to level out right now. Bye. You think in your brain, this is how it's going to be. You tell yourself, this is how it's going to happen. And then when you get up, everything is upside down. So Geneva, let me give you my dilemma, all right? He's still shaking, not doing good. I tried to get a little bit, just a small little bit of vodka in him to like level him out a little bit, right? The issue I'm having is that I'm thinking, does it make sense to keep William here tonight? Mama? Okay. We're not staying here because it makes no sense for us to force him to go through what he's about to go through physically tonight here. If he's able to do the 7 and 14 day there, he stands a much better chance of staying here than he would if I put him through what he's going through here right now. Was it there? Okay. He's a good man. I mean, at least with me he is. It's just how quickly it just all disintegrates. And tomorrow, I'm gonna hand the baton over to Geneva, and Geneva's gonna try to do something I was unable to do today.
The people doing the outreach, the people doing the hard work of trying to reel homeless people in, it's burnout work. You gotta have a lot of patience because when you're working with somebody on the street, you're dealing with so many layers of issues. It means days and sometimes weeks and sometimes months of outreach. And maybe you get a breakthrough and they say, okay, I'll come back with you for a sandwich. Okay, I'll come back and take a shower at the shelter. Okay, I'll spend the night here. But each and every one of those things is a big step.
I'm hoping that you have a bed today. He's been clean and sober like 6 years and he just recently relapsed. ¿Qué pasó? Hey, look at him. He was a soldier in El Salvador. See him? Can you see the picture?
He came to this country well over 20 years ago. Worked in multiple professions. At one point, he was in the construction. And during one of these construction jobs, he had an accident where he fell off a ladder. A number of discs on his back were badly injured, and it basically put him in a situation where he's had difficulty with mobility.
Hi, Rudy. Good morning. This is Geneva. We just left a homeless house care. They weren't able to get him a bed and detox today or tomorrow. There won't be one available until Monday. So he wants me to take him back to the park. So call me when you get a chance, please. Thank you. At least we got him a bed. It may not be now, but at least we know he's going in. I told him he's gonna be okay, and he's like, yeah, I've been homeless for so long, but it's a couple more days.
I've been working as a social worker since August. The cases that I handle are HIV positive, hepatitis C, and substance abuse. Some of them are tough.
Have you been staying clean? Have you been staying clean? Okay. And that way we can better assist you on other services and connect you with other services as well.
You see, every client is different. They all have different needs. Some leave rehab, they relapse, so I go look for them, bring them back. Some are mentally ill.
No, it's asking me which do I, depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, personality disorder, or other? Psychosis.
Look at his chart. I don't know what his diagnosis is, but I'm pretty sure it was schizophrenic. People who are experiencing homelessness have dealt with outreach workers and try to help them. It doesn't go nowhere. So here comes Claudia, and I really do want to help them, you know, and there's like, oh, you're just like the rest. So that motivates me more to show them, no, I'm not like the rest. I'm actually here to help you. He was down on his luck. We picked him up because the system failed him. And I'm sorry if it offends any organization, but the system does fail you.
What's his name? Forgot his name. Rufus.
It took me a while to get him to trust me, but we're not just an agency that's gonna let go because our file is closed and put him back in the drawer. We're gonna continue our friendship, and we're gonna always be there for him. And he knows that.
Let's go, Darren.
Maybe you go in the back with them. We can
Yeah, I
keep
will.
them calm. Darren loves his dogs.
Come on.
Keep going, buddy.
Very slow. He's in. He's in.
Very
Perfect.
I'm gonna give him a ride. I don't know how this is gonna turn out.
I'm picking up my EBT card. It's like a cash relief card. You know, it has cash posted on there and food stamps. Behave. Hi, baby. Oh, goodness gracious, take some time. Sorry to keep so long. Hi, baby. No.
His next step would be getting his own place. Finding a unit that's gonna accept his voucher and is gonna accept his lifestyle. It's hard to place somebody with 2 emotional support animals, and to even question him on getting rid of his animals was really bad. Emotional support animals are really what they are.
He's a person that really does need that one-on-one help, you know? Transporting him and taking him to do things like this. Or else he's gonna be stuck over there at the other park, figuring out how is he gonna go get his car today? You know, how is he gonna eat today?
He's doing good. I could honestly say he's doing okay. He stopped using drugs, and he's on his feet now. And he's a total different person from when I met him.
Feel better?
Yeah. Who did you pay that out of your pocket?
Don't worry about it.
Oh my
There's
God.
nothing for you to worry about. What you need to worry about is being okay. Okay?
Thank you. Once again. I'll call you tomorrow.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. I have to keep it real. He's a pain in the ass.
Okay, let's see if we find these folks. He sent me an email this morning.
Didn't want to talk or she didn't want to eat. So I know not to do stuff.
You did?
Maybe like the one more.
She's there now? White Memorial. Él me dice que ella a veces empieza a hablar sola y no come, y prefiere no comer. Cuídate, Roger. Hey, Ruben. When they release her, how does she get back? Do they give her a taxi voucher? Because what I want to do is I want to give them my contact info so that when they discharge her from the hospital, I'll pick her up and I'll bring her back here. All right? I don't want to wait because I'm worried, and my concern is that if I wait till tonight, she may have already been discharged. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to help them understand that if they're planning to discharge her, to contact me. Anna, hi. This is Rudy calling from Housing Works. There's a patient, a client of ours that was taken to the hospital by her brother for a psych hold this morning at your hospital. And, well, not a psych, I guess she was behaving, hello? Hi, Alex, my name is Rudy. I'm calling from Housing Works. I wanted to fax you guys a confidentiality release we have from one of your patients there. Ay, me colgó. La recontra. Puta madre que lo parió. I'm gonna try to get to better reception. Dude, I was so close. Hey, Alex, I'm sorry we got disconnected earlier. This is Rudy calling from Housing Works. I'm calling because one of our participants that we're working with was taken and admitted this morning. And awesome, you've been very helpful, thank you. Okay. Look, I'll tell you, I don't have patience at the DMV. Like when I go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, my blood, I go like crazy. I feel like I'm gonna crawl out of my skin. But this job requires that not only do you have the patience to do it, but you do it with a person who's sick. You know, it's not just that I'm going to be going to the DMV, but I'm going to be going to the DMV with a person who's hearing 16 voices or who can't be around other people. And if I start acting like the way I do when I get very frustrated, it makes the situation worse. This is why perhaps I need to revisit this career. I need to start working at Home Depot. I'm going to get a job at Home Depot. I was raised in San Gabriel Valley, here in California, in Los Angeles. So I've basically been most of my life in Los Angeles, in the same neighborhood, the same home. I'm the first generation in my family born here. I went to an all-boys school. I was provided a very good Catholic education my whole life. My father came from Argentina, and my mother escaped from Cuba. Through the schools that we went to, we were taught service from when we were very young, to be devoted to the poor. When I graduated from high school, I had skills to become a machine shop operator. And I worked basically in a machine shop for a pretty good salary when I was 18 years old. Maybe 5 or 6 years into that job, there was a recession. And unfortunately, I lost my job. So I did not know what I was going to do for a living. And at some point, I saw that they needed a Spanish-speaking person to work with families experiencing homelessness in the area where I live. And when I walked into that job, I think something sparked. I felt like I was in my own skin. And I realized that my purpose in life had been put in my head from when I was very little. David, it's Rudy from Housing Works. Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm about 30 minutes away for William. Okay. So if you all need to do whatever you want to do to get him ready, I'll be there in about 30 minutes. Okay, well, you got it. Thank you, brother. You got it, sir. Bye. I'm about to go pick up William, who's finished his detox, and I'm about to transport him to a shelter where I'm hoping he will stay for the next month or two. I interviewed William a month ago. I sat down with him at a restaurant, at a Denny's, and we had breakfast together. And I remember clearly when we did this interview, he was very transparent. He was very open. He was very willing to share. He's funny at times, you know. But the William I saw after that was the William I'd never met before, was the William who was sick, the William who was barely coherent on the sidewalk and perhaps in need of emergency rooms. I'm hoping right now when we get off the freeway that I see the Denny's William that I saw. Okay, vamos. Y así vamos todos al mismo lugar. Ojalá que no, ¿eh? Ojalá que no. Ojalá que no. Por favor. Tú y yo tenemos que tener un lugar donde comer un asado y ver un partido de fútbol. Por favor. This entire exchange, detox to Illumination Foundation, is another handoff that has the potential of a whole new array of variables. Yo se la voy a llevar a Pacaya y se la voy a entregar a él también, para que él tenga el número mío. La Geneva y la Juliet te van a venir ahora. Cuídate. Gracias por todo. Okay, gracias. Chao. Te abro la puerta, espera. Part of what really freaked me out right now was he was like, how long do I need to be here? Like, how long till I can go back? The promise now is housing. That doesn't come easily. What is the plan with the apartment?
I am fairly certain we have someone already tasked to go into it.
So there's someone already aligned, huh?
Who do you have in mind?
Well, it's not that I have anyone in mind. It's just that I just.
Oh, come on, Rudy. Who do you have in mind?
William Bonilla.
Yeah. I would have to be able to extract a Section 8 voucher from DHS for that to happen.
Oh, so they wouldn't be under FHSP?
Yeah, because it's a Bright Corners building, so I'd have to get a Section 8 voucher. Absolutely have to.
Then forget it. Then. We work with property management, and property management accepts two forms of payment for the rent for apartment, the subsidy. You have to figure out, like, it's like a maze. Like, you know there's a house at the end, but you're not sure which process is the best to take to get there. The longer we delay identifying a spot for him, the more we put him at peril of falling back into the thing he was in. Yeah.
One thing that needs to happen is communities have to embrace affordable housing. They have to be willing to allow a range of housing options.
When we still have communities saying, no, 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 no. We understand, yes, that's a shame that these people are homeless. Some of them have mental health issues. Just don't put them in our community. Take them somewhere else. We have to move beyond that.
I think there is an insidious evil that has its roots in all of us, and that's the desire to make difficult problems disappear. People don't want to see homeless folks. It's very unnerving. It's very disconcerting.
You know, nothing breaks my heart more than when I have to go into a community and right away the neighbors are up in arms because they feel I'm going to bring somebody into their community that's going to do harm to them, that's going to cause harm to their family, or that's going to lower their property value. Because more often than not, that person is going into a community where he or she was living already. What difference is it that they were living on the bench and that now they're living in the apartment in the same community? ¿Cuándo fue la última vez que las viste?
Ayer todavía anduve con la más grande.
Ah, con la más grande.
Ya me está llevando, no sé cómo le voy a hacer porque me está pidiendo libros, que le ayude.
¿Por qué? ¿Las clases? ¿Por la escuela? It's interesting to me that he's sort of incorporating his family again in his life. Me voy a llevar tu plato, William. In his day-to-day, se nos hace muy difícil encontrar un apartamento libre en el vecindario. Y yo sigo con la esperanza de que yo te pueda mantener en esa área. No, nada cambia. Yo sigo esperando de que la Geneva, el Roger y mi compañero Robert me digan, Rudy, encontramos uno, enséñaselo a William. I'm telling him the same thing. We haven't found anything yet. We're waiting. Please be patient. We're almost there. But he's willing to give me time. Like, he's willing to wait. But that's not unlimited. That definitely has an end date.
Hi, how are you?
We need 2/3 of the vote.
We are marching for yes on Measure 8.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes on Measure 8! Yes on Measure 8! Yes on Measure 8! Yes on
Orduna and Highland, they have the streets closed off. Why? Because tomorrow's the Oscars. Now, this was all a plan because tomorrow is the Oscars, there's a couple of camera crews there. We need help. The game plan is to make sure that they talk about us at the Oscars.
Hey, hey, ho, ho! Hey, hey, ho, ho! We need our right to go and vote! We need our right to go and vote! Hey, hey, ho, ho! We need our right to go and vote! Yes on 8! Yes on 8! Yes on 8! Yes on 8!
Yes on 8! Last year, we helped pass HHH knowing that we were going to be right here, right now, to pass Measure 8.
This is so personal to me. I want to get personal, Mel, if you don't mind. I had a breakdown on Monday because of so much that I see and so much that I go through. I don't even know what self-care is anymore, you know, and I need to remember that I'm human and I need to take a step back. But how can you take a step back when we see so many people in need of help?
As for Measure H, the proposed quarter-cent LA County sales tax to fund anti-homelessness programs, this one's too close to call right now.
Today, we celebrate victory, but tomorrow we get back to work. Because not one fewer person is off the streets just because the county registrar recorder gives us good news. We can do this, we must do this, we will do this, and ladies and gentlemen, we have done this. We have done this.
Well, one thing that's changed in recent years is that it's clear that this is a matter of great concern to the voting public. I think that's going to continue so long as we have so many visibly homeless people on the street. And we've made some progress as a result of that. We've gotten the Triple H and Proposition H passed, and that'll help some significant number of people, and that's a good thing.
We've moved in the right direction It's just a case of that, the story that, I was told about. We're all in a leaking boat, and more people are trying to climb into the boat, and it's sinking, and we're bailing it with a measuring spoon.
Expectations have been raised on the part of voters. Voters feel like they've supported what's been asked of them, what's been put on the ballot, and so they're anticipating visible results.
We are going to see results. So I know there's a fear of what happens if we don't see results, but I truly believe we're going to see results. And because again, I believe that there's enough of the population out there that is willing to stand with government, with their elected officials, with the homeless providers to begin to make that difference.
For the cause across the county. If you are supportive of that, raise your hand. There seems to be pretty strong support for focusing these dollars on permanent supportive housing. I mean, everyone who spoke to that issue favored that.
You know, this meeting I attended this afternoon, it was comprised of mostly executive directors from the homelessness arena, and we basically are organizing to press the powers that be around what the plan is budgetary-wise. I've been around in this city doing this work for almost 24 years. And I was around when Mental Health Services Act dollars passed, and that was a lot of money. We were hoping there was going to be a lot of change. It really got absorbed by the county system. We really didn't see a whole lot of change. There's a part of me that doesn't want to be Debbie Downer, look back and say, well, but that's been in the back of my head. I do believe that there's good intention, so I'm trying to remain optimistic.
Hello?
Hey, yeah.
Hola. Perdón. Ajá. Traigan, pues. Vamos a ver. Oh,
Go in.
Gracias.
No, gracias por esperarme. So on Monday, I had scheduled to pick up Yolanda, his sister, from their apartment so I could take her to a prearranged appointment with the Department of Mental Health. When I arrived at the apartment, I noticed she was in distress. She was very worried. She let me in. I went into the unit and I found Ruben unresponsive on the bathroom floor. I got very nervous. I got very scared. And I called my colleague, Roger, and we realized that he needed 911. He had a hernia that basically had moved or somehow expanded towards his kidney and his intestines, where his intestines were starting to fuse with his kidneys. And because of his hernia, he basically had not gone to the bathroom for about 7 days. He was basically just emaciated from a week of not eating. We learned from the conversation we had with the doctor that he must have been pushing heavy items. And when that was being said to me by the doctor, it added up right away. I realized that 11 years of pushing 7 cars twice a week up and down streets took its toll on him. He went into surgery, and the surgery lasted about 4.5 hours, and it was a success. and they were able to get his kidneys to function again. However, the issue is that when he came out of surgery, they found a significant amount of fluid in his lungs.
You have the surgery?
The surgery was successful. However, they have him in ICU now because apparently he has lung in his liquids, in his fluid in his lung, liquid in his lungs.
Oh, jeez.
And they're giving me the social worker is asking me for next of kin and a number of other, things to plan for the worst. So what I'm doing right now is I'm on my way to Yolanda's to check on her because she spent the whole night at the hospital with him, and find out what is Yolanda gonna do alone. So you don't want to go to the hospital?
No, I want to go to my sister's house.
On Huntington Drive?
Yeah.
I can take you there.
Yeah. I called her up, but she told me that to just pray for her.
So is she...
But if it was her boyfriend, she would be over.
Okay, listen, Yolanda, is your sister expecting you?
No.
Is it okay for me to take you there right now?
No.
So why do you want me to take you to your sister's house?
I'm not going to nobody's house. I'm going to go to the car house.
Okay.
Bye.
And I called the hospital with Yolanda in the car to check on Ruben's, health. How is he doing? And it was during that phone call that we learned that he was in critical condition. I allowed Yolanda to hear that. And when she heard that, she started screaming.
I was there!
They said they didn't have
I wasn't. Yes, they do.
Okay, we're not gonna fight.
I fought.
Please don't yell at me. I tried negotiating with her. I tried dealing with her, but she just was not having it. Hey, listen, Yolanda, don't leave, okay? Because I need to write down these numbers you gave me, okay? Please? Yolanda? Yolanda! No, she's not gonna wait for me. Your mom is in a really, like I said, she's in a very delicate state right now, where she's very nice and very pleasant with me, but then the next minute she just gets very upset and she just starts yelling. I need her Medi-Cal card and her ID. The problem is Ruben keeps them. I need to go to that house tomorrow and take it apart to find her Medi-Cal and to find her ID so that I can go to CVS and pick up her medication. If I ask Yolanda to do it, she won't do it. And I shouldn't expect her to do it. The problem now becomes that, I now have suddenly become Ruben. Part of me has now become, having to, do these things. These vehicles are being ticketed twice a week. And these tickets are starting to mount. And as they continue to mount, eventually they could become warrants. I don't have an answer for that. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I have a feeling these cars are going to be towed. And I have a feeling that before they're towed, those tickets are going to amass to a significant amount.
The purpose of the meeting today is to assign responsibilities, to kind of identify what Yolanda's short-term needs are, to assign, to assign people to take care of each of those things. And then, talking about what might happen if Ruben doesn't recover.
He may not recover.
Well, that's the point Robert
That's
did
what I'm
earlier.
saying. So,
Robert looked at it with this. There's three scenarios right here. There's one that Ruben recovers. That's one scenario. The second scenario is that Ruben becomes very ill for a very long time. That he basically is incapacitated so long that he's unable to communicate with us and he's in the hospital for a very, very long time. The third scenario is that he expires.
I feel bad for him, now that I know that he's in a very serious stage, it's like, wow,
We need to communicate with the landlord about the rent because Ruben's the person who receives all of their money, right?
Correct.
The way, ideally, what I would want to happen is that she allows us to become her payee while Ruben's incapacitated.
Yesterday, when I was trying to have that conversation with her in the waiting room, she just got up and walked out.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to have that conversation with me.
Right.
I try to tell her, hey, Yolanda, what are we going to do if things don't turn out good for Ruben? I don't want to talk about it.
Do we think Yolanda could live alone, even in permanent supportive housing, or would she need a boarding care? That's where we kind of, because we would need to know that, we would need to have an assessment of that. From what I'm hearing, if Ruben doesn't recover, she needs to go into a boarding care.
I think he's right.
That sounds right to me. What do you need, Rudy?
I need a vacation. a lot of what had happened, like, it weighed on me, you know? But I'd been in this place before. I'm scared of the loss of someone that I've become close to. I'm also scared of making a wrong decision when a moment of crisis arrives. I rely on my coworkers to tell me. I know that they will speak up and say, hey, maybe it's time to just slow down. Or maybe, you know what, let me take care of that for you for a little while. I've worked in this field for 15 years, and I've worked for many places. And that's one of the privileges I have doing this work, is that I'm surrounded by incredibly observant and caring people.
The one that talks very slow. Is it canoe? I'm gonna look. I think I have it already. Okay, this one.
Hola. Buenos días.
Su firma. Venga sus 5 dedos. Felicidades, ¿eh?
The facts are that we know how to solve this problem. There's no rocket science involved. There's no technological problem to be solved. It's a relatively straightforward thing to do. You have to build housing or you have to have people get more money in their pockets from somewhere.
Unless and until we begin to address the root causes of why there's so much homelessness, which has a lot to do with the scarcity of affordable housing in Los Angeles and the absence of a social safety net, we're not going to be able to solve it in isolation from those larger root causes.
Honestly, it's not going to come from inside government. It's going to come from the next generation, the millennials and others that are showing us a different way of lifestyle that's more sustainable, a lifestyle that's more communal, a lifestyle that's different than everyone having a suburban 4-bedroom house and 2-car garage. That's not the future that people want, and that's not the future that's really going to help us save this planet.
I have faith. I have faith in the youth. I think there's hope. If our next generation or the following generation dedicates more of their time to being more compassionate and more helpful and making a difference, the future looks a little brighter.
If the people in LA don't get involved in the systematic changes, 10 years from now, it'll be someone else in this seat and it'll be someone else in your seat shooting a documentary on what needs to be done to stop homelessness in LA.
For years, I've been attending parades and walks, all sorts of events about end homelessness now. And I'll be honest with you, I think the notion that there's going to be zero homelessness is unrealistic. But I believe you can reduce it so significantly that the systems in place can handle the population that is homeless. We know it can be done because we've seen it with our own eyes.